Hello everyone. Today I am going to keep this a little more intimate in terms of editing and reviewing. This is not really a review. This is more that I think I was wrong for my previous statement, which was I think I wasn't going to summon for DragonRider, but I eventually did. So I'm going to show you I did summon it right here. I do have DragonRider, and I think it's almost max. Just need a little more um, components. However, the reason why I think I was wrong prior was that I didn't really think Dragon Rider was that good of a mech, and I thought it was more in the case of niche budget, but then I realized how many heavy mechs there were, and there isn't really much heavy mechs. There's like, I think there's 5 notable heavy mechs. It's Diaz, Kong, Heracles, and Dragon Rider, I think. And then last one is, I think last one is Gilly, I think. Let's take a look, where is it? Yeah, it's this one. Yeah, Gillis Rice. So these are like the only 5 notable mechs that we do have. And the thing about this is, so if we look at, just go over here and we just look at the heavy mechs in general and kind of go over. So if we look at Diaz, Diaz is a good mech, but the thing is that Diaz really only works with Yevgeny, because Yevgeny is the only one that can be drawn into combat multiple times in like one turn. So this is only really good for Diaz. Or sorry, only really good for Yevgeny. The other character is, or we're going to take a look at Gillis Rise, and the only really good thing about this mech is that this is really good on healers or like tanks that heal, such as Daraka and Ana, which are probably the only 2 notable ones that run this. As you can see right here, the Liquid Repair Kit. And I think you can stack other mods, but this is not a review on this mech. It's just to showcase what the mechs do. And then we have Heracles, which I find is probably the weakest of all the heavy mechs. And it basically gives a minus 12% to dodge rate, which isn't really that good. I mean, I think though, okay, so I think this mod right here is overall good if you place it as like a secondary mod to another heavy mech or any other mech. But just this on a heavy mech is really weak. And not even just that, it's like this in general is like really weak. 12% on a dodge rate for a character when most things you're fighting typically have like really high dodge. Like 12% isn't really going to make that much difference. You're probably greater on leaning to using things like just overall buffing hit rate to overcome this right here. So I think this is very niche and almost never needed, unless you could put it on another mech, which is what I said prior. Right here, I think this is good, but like I said, you need to get this to gold 3 on all parts to get crushing mod, and then you're going to be putting 4 pressure mods to get the max for this. But going through all that just to get this is surprisingly not worth it that much. Then we look at the other heavy mech I just mentioned, which was Kong. And where is it? All right, so this one right here. Kong has turbo booster. As you can see, it's excess AP. Let's see, and when engaging in a link attack, damage plus 30%. So this, as you can already see, is only good for one character. It's literally just William. So, and then we move on to Dragon Rider, which right here, it's the Enlightenment Core, which is when attacking with a skill that costs 3 AP or more, damage is plus 10%. The thing is that for the characters that use heavy mechs, most of their skills are above 3 AP or 3 AP from the get-go. So this is really, really good. And especially for characters like Gumusay, where Moon Scourge is 4 AP, and I think her basic skill is 1 AP. But the reason why it's so good in Gumusay is Gumusay has a 4 AP skill called Moon Scourge that targets the body only. So you instantly get the 10% damage and the 10% hit rate for Gumu. Then you get the plus 2%, which is 12% using Moon Scourge, which no other heavy mech does this unless you gold 3 Heracles and run crushing mods on it. Then you might kind of get this, but this is just this is just way better to get and way easier to get for a new player and just to use from the get-go. You don't have to get a gold 3 freaking Heracles. You can just pull one DragonRider and you're good to go. Now if you wanted to do the same thing, compare gold 3 Heracles or gold 3 DragonRider, I'm still gonna lean towards gold 3 DragonRider because this right here is super good. When initiating combat, if the target can retaliate, damage taken gets minus 18%. As you know, the current global melee characters suck because they can often get retaliated multiple times, so you don't really want to be taking so much damage. And sometimes when a character might break apart using the normal AP skill, it might not even target the body, it might just break apart, but this still allows the enemy to retaliate. So having a minus 18% damage reduction whenever they do retaliate is actually really good, because that's about 1/4 of the total damage is being deduced. And then you have, after initiating combat, restores HP equal to 25% of the damage dealt. Now this is pretty damn good because, as I said, the 1/4 of damage you will be taking is the 1/4 of damage you will also be receiving back. So it's basically on your attack you get the health back that you just lost from the retaliate. So I think this is really good, and this is no contest to Heracles at gold 3 versus gold 3 DragonRider running 4 matching mods, or Heracles running gold 3 with 4 crushing mods. And then right here you have armor mod, which is armor plus 35%, which is, I'm just gonna say this right now, that's pretty good because we are looking at a heavy mech. Which if you're using Gumusay kind of bypasses the restrictions of the heavy mech because she's like the only, I think she's like the only global melee character that can move the way she does. And I'm gonna look at Gumusay to kind of show you guys what I mean, but this armor mod right here is it's kind of like a bonus. It's not like, oh, such a game changer or anything like that, but this armor plus 35% is huge for this character. I think Gumusay is the only character you want to be using DragonRider for. I don't think DragonRider is really good on any other pilot so far in global. I mean, you could make the case that it might go good on like Yevgeny or something on the lines of that for the plus 10% hit rate for his higher skill AP, but in most cases you're not really going to be using Yevgeny for like I said, Yevgeny just naturally has a way better mech. It's Diaz, and not only is it Diaz, but Diaz is super easy to get because you can get from dispatch as of right now. So most people who were going for Diaz through dispatch will probably either have 3 or even 4 pieces of Diaz right now. And if you compare the two, Diaz is just better for Yevgeny. And most of the other characters that do use heavy mechs, they usually already have a coinciding heavy mech that goes with them. For example, Yevgeny, Diaz, Gumusay, Daraka, Anna, William, Kong, and I think, where's the other one? Am I missing anything else? Oh, the other one is Heracles, but Heracles is supposed to be for Gumusay. But DragonRider just often comes off as the better heavy mech for Gumusay. So Heracles kind of goes into the mod pile of just being scrapped for its mods and then just being placed on a different mech. So I think that's just my personal analysis on why I think I was wrong on the initial release of looking at DragonRider. But when I kind of gave it thought, this is my current thoughts now, and it's kind of exciting. So I'm gonna look at Gumusay, and I'm kind of gonna go over why this character works so damn well with DragonRider. So right here, as I said, so she has 2. This is gain movement plus 2 and 1 AP. It costs 0 AP, and she can continue action with remaining movement. This is really good because if you go maximum amount of spaces, proc this, then you get plus 2 movement. You can move 2 more times. But most people will probably use, I think it's this one, where it's thrust 4 tiles forward, which is a cost of 3 AP, which basically for moving very far, most people are going to be using this to cover range or to crash an enemy, which is usually like closing the gap. So most people are naturally going to run disengage edge, and most people, if not everyone, will be using Moon Scourge. The reason why you're going to be using Moon Scourge is this uses a polearm to attack a target, dealing 150% damage. if this attack destroys the target, it inflicts intimidation, which causes the enemy not to move. And um, I think it's only for one ring around her, which is surprisingly good because if she's getting literally really close to a bunch of enemies and how most enemies in the game work, they kind of like stay kind of close together. This is really huge. This kind of keeps them within a specific area for your tacticals to do more damage. So it's a no-brainer that you'd be running Moon Scourge and Disengage Edge. So that only leaves one more spot, and she does have a few other moves you can use, which is Poise Strike, which up to 3 tiles of this turn's remaining movement can be carried over to the next turn. The issue I have with this one is Gumusay is a melee character, so you don't want her to be standing still, and you want to be maximizing how many tiles she can cover. So this kind of led me to believe that Concentration is her overall better skill on average, because this gives you basically +2 movement, cooldown of 2, and you'll notice that with Gumusay you usually lack maybe 1 or 2 movements from actually hitting the enemy, so Concentration is really good. So it's usually going to be Concentration, Moon Scourge, and Disengage Edge, which basically gives her the most tile coverage and range for a melee character, but also providing the defense of a heavy mech. And I believe Moon Scourge is, I think, 4 AP. Yeah, so 4 AP, so it's 10%. You get the 10% hit rate, which for melee characters, you want the 10% hit rate because they usually lack in terms of accuracy. So you don't want your melee character to be missing because they only hit 1 time. And I think that would be it. I think this is my overall analysis because I just wanted to say I was wrong because I was wrong, and I want to make sure that when I give an analysis over something, it remains accurate over time. So yeah, if you haven't summoned DragonRider and you have Gumusay, summon DragonRider. If you don't have Gumusay, maybe you don't want to summon DragonRider, but I would still suggest summoning DragonRider as it's still kind of one of the better overall versatile heavy mechs that we do have. It doesn't have a restriction like the others. It's just 3 AP costs, and most heavy mechs have like usually more than 3. Usually have like 3 AP or more. So for like plus 10% hit rate and damage. Anyway, I'm going to head out. Thank you guys for watching. Peace.